Straight all day.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, we're not done. You get a huge dose of personal initiative. What the hell is that? That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together to a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that we call work on your game. This is the Daily Show, not the Daily Show, hosted by me. My name is Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic, we're going to talk about the top 5 problems that you are going to run into after your business is making money. Okay, so actually, before I even get into talking a little bit more about that, let me give a couple housekeeping tips, housekeeping things that people need to understand. For those of you who do not know, I send out a daily motivation text message. It's free of charge. I send it out every single day for free to everyone who is in my texting community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. That's the only thing you need to know about it. With that being said, you want to be in my text community so you get it. In order to get into it, all you got to do is send me a text message at the following number. Here's the number: 305-384-6894. Send a text to that number right now. And every day when I send out the daily motivation text, next one will be tomorrow or today, maybe, depending on how early you're listening to this episode, you will get the daily motivation text. And the other thing is, actually, that's the only thing I'm going to tell you. I'll tell you everything else later on in this episode. Now, let's get into this topic. All right, so first of all, for those of you whose business is already making money, and you define what making money means for you, because this can actually apply to you whether your business is making, you can be making 80 grand a year, you can be making 200 grand a year, you can be making 700 grand a year. Once your business starts making money, it is not the end of your problem. So any of you right now who's in a situation where you are not making money, I want you to understand that your problems do not end once you start making money. Again, you define what making money means to you. It can be different amounts for different people. Once you start making money, your problems are not over. All right, your problems are actually just beginning. All right, you didn't know that, but now you know. All right, so don't think that making money is going to end everything. All right, like the song says, more money, more problems. And actually, it shouldn't even actually be that. It's true and it sounds good, so it's a sexy phrase, but it's actually more money, different problems. What you're going to have is a different set of problems. So if your business is not making the kind of money you want to make right now, you have some issues. One of them being that you're not making the kind of money that you want to make. But once you start making money, your problems do not end. You just get a different set of problems. And this is actually what you want, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is not a bad thing. Okay, so don't look at this as a bad thing. When you step your level up in life, what you get is a different quality of issue. And that's what you want in life. You want different quality problems. You want higher quality problems than the problems that you had in the past. Okay. In episode 1918, I talked about why you keep having the same problems. If you keep having the same problems in life, it's because you are not advancing. You're still in the same spot. Listen to that episode so you understand why that's happening. In episode 1571, how to make yourself bigger by solving bigger problems. All right, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. And I've talked about problems in a lot of episodes of this show, so I'm not going to list all of them because there are too many episodes where I've talked about it. According to my document in front of me here, I put the word problem in the title of 29 episodes of this show. So again, I'm not going to list all of them, but you can go to workonyourgamepodcast.com, workonyourgamepodcast.com, and you can listen to any episode in the history of this show. I'll give you another one, episode 570. The real problem is that you don't know what the actual real problem is, and that's one that a lot of people need to understand. Episode 471, your only job in life is to solve problems and charge for it. Episode 267, fake problems versus real problems. All right, that one is very useful for a lot of people as well. Episode 204, going over top of problems. I talked about that in my book, Work on Your Game, as well. So I'm not going to list anymore. Go to workonyourgamepodcast.com. But I just want all of you to understand, once you start making money in your business, you're going to have a different quality of problem. And if you're already making money in your business, I'm going to list the exact problems that you have right now. And if I'm wrong about it, then you don't have to listen to me anymore on this subject. And if I'm right about it, which I know I am, then I'm going to tell you what you should do once you understand that I understand what your problems are. And guess what? I also understand how we can actually fix them. I'm going to tell you what to do about that as we get through this episode. So let's get right into it. Point number 1. And again, those of you already making money in your business, you can listen to me and you can tell me if I have properly identify and diagnose what your issues are. And those of you who are not making money, you can listen and you will see me as I'll be like the soothsayer in Julius Caesar, or like Miss Cleo, because I'm going to predict the future of your business life, because I'm going to tell you what's coming once you do start making the money that you want to make in your business. Point number one, topic once again, the top 5 problems that happen after your business is making money. Number one problem is that, and these are in no particular order, but you can put them in whatever order you wish. They are equally weighted. Number one problem is that you got to where you are via tactics, but now you need to get strategic. This is a problem in your business. The way I'm saying it is kind of like a diagnosis. It is a diagnosis. The problem is you got to where you are making money in your business by tactics. What do I mean by that? Tactics are the action steps that you take every single day at work, and to get to the level that you're at, you are probably very good at tactics. All right, tactics are basically something comes up, you figure out how to deal with it, then you deal with it, it's solved, and then something else comes up, and then you chill until the next thing comes up, and then you do the same thing. You figure out what to do, you figure that out, you solve it, then the next thing comes up, you do the same thing, next thing comes up, you do the same thing, next thing comes up, you do the same thing. Understand, you can have a 6-figure business and sustain a 6-figure income in your business by doing this indefinitely. And some of you who are listening to me right now, you know I'm talking about you. And I know that I'm talking about you because I talk to people. Yeah, I may have even talked to you directly, but I talk to people who are in your position all the time. You get there via tactics. Work hard, figure something out, knock it out, next thing comes up. Same thing, knock it out, next thing comes up. All right, this is what you do every day. And to get to your level, you have to be actually very good at tactics. So I'm not telling you that being good tactically is necessarily a bad thing. Being good tactically is probably how you got to where you're at. But the problem is, if all you do is remain a superior tactician, the problem is you're going to stay at this exact point, this exact level that you're at in terms of the revenue that you're at, and you may have some ambitions to make more money than you're making. And the other challenge is you are going to be basically, you signed yourself up for a lifetime of work. You're going to be running on a metaphorical treadmill at work where you're always running, but you're not actually getting anywhere different than where you are right now. The view never changes. And you're literally going to work yourself to death because you probably can't stop working the way you have things set up right now. And you're going to have to keep working until you can't work anymore. And eventually you're going to die on that treadmill, and the treadmill is going to throw you off. You know, like one of those TikTok videos that people laugh, right? That's pretty much what's going to happen to you at your business. And right now you're running on the treadmill. Maybe you're pretty healthy. Your legs are feeling good, but you know, eventually you can't keep doing this. Have I diagnosed you accurately? Those of you who are solid tacticians, you're good at thinking on your feet. You're good at figuring things out on the fly. The problem is there's only so far you can go through being a tactician. To get to the next level in your business, you must become more strategic and look at things from a higher level view of your business. What is the difference between being strategic and being tactical? Being tactical are the moment by moment, day by day actions that you take. And when you're super tactical, it's like you're playing whack-a-mole with your business. Everybody know what whack-a-mole is? It's like that game that you play at the arcade. When the little animal pops up, you hit it with the mallet, and then as soon as you hit that one, another one pops up, and you got to kill that one. Then another one pops up, you got to hit that one. Then they start popping up faster and faster, and then 3 or 4 pop up at the same time until basically the game is set up to overwhelm you to the point that you can't knock out everything as fast as things are popping up. All right, that's your business. All right, some of you who are great tacticians, you play yourself into a game of high-speed whack-a-mole until you can't go anymore. All right, strategy, on the other hand, is the big picture view that governs the tactics. And I want you to understand that when you're being strategic in your business, doesn't necessarily mean that you won't have to do tactical things. All right, you still will have some tactical things that you need to take care of, but you can take care of them because you can see that there's a bigger picture view to what you're doing. There's a bigger picture idea here. There's a 30,000 foot view that you can see. So I can handle these tactics because I know these tactics are playing into the big picture of where I'm trying to go. But when you have no strategy and all you're doing is handling things tactically, you're looking at yourself like, okay, where the hell is this taking me? All right, where is this going? All right, what's the end game to this? There is no end game because you have no strategy. That's why you need to get strategic. This is the first challenge you're going to notice once you start making money in your business. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is the top 5 problems that come up after your business is making money. Number 2 is that you're going to have to break your old habits and actually get disciplined with what you are doing. Now, you may be thinking that you're already disciplined, or maybe you notice that you're not disciplined. And some of you who was in a position where your business is not making the money that you want to make, you may think that everyone who's making a lot more money than you in business is just super disciplined and that's why they're making so much money. On the contrary, no, they're not. All right, and again, I'm qualified to say this because I talk to these people on a consistent basis. Now, those of you who are making money in your business, I know as well as you do that a lot of people may look at you and look at what you've accomplished thus far in your career and think that you are a perfectly disciplined person who does everything on time, accurately, and always by systems. But you and I both know, and I'll keep your secret, that that is absolutely not the case. And I don't have to keep your secret for long because we want to fix this. Okay, I'm going to help you fix it, so it won't be a secret forever because it's not always going to be the case. I work with enough people who are in your position, those of you who are making money in your business, to know that this is the case. This is what happens with people: is you're tactical and the way that things are being run are not as disciplined as they may appear from the outside looking in. But because you are so skilled, because you are talented, because you are a smart, hardworking individual, you got a good product, you got a good market, and you're doing things the way they're supposed to be done. It's just you're working yourself to death doing them. You appear to be more disciplined than people who haven't figured all those things out that you have figured out. But what you need to do here, and you know this, you need to get out of your old habits of just doing things as they get done, and start doing, instead of doing things by the seat of your pants and doing things by your own talent and effort, which eventually you run out of, is to start doing things by strategy. Having a big picture plan, a big picture view of what you are doing. Now, while your talent and effort will still play a role in what you're doing, instead of your talent and effort dominating the game, your strategy will now conduct the orchestra, so to speak, instead of you just figuring things out as you go along. Now, here's my question to you. A six-figure business owner, six-figure revenue professional. Wouldn't that make things a lot easier and less anxiety-inducing for you? Don't you feel like you'd be a lot less stressed? You think that you might have a little bit more time on your hands? You feel like you wouldn't wake up in the middle of the night thinking about, how am I going to do these things at work anymore? You think you could be a little bit more relaxed when you're not at work because you have more discipline in your process. Thusly, you can be more strategic, and thus everything is not all on your shoulders or the shoulders of your talent and effort anymore. Now, I know you're nodding your head right now. The question is if you're going to do something about this. I'm not questioning whether you logically understand or agree with me, because I know you do. The question is, are you going to do something about it? And again, I'm going to tell you what we can do about it. But let's move on. Let's talk about a little bit more of this. So those of you who are in a position, we're still on point number 2, who are not yet making the kind of money you want to make in business. Again, you might think that everybody who's where you're not is because they are just super disciplined and more disciplined than you are. That's not really what it is. Honestly, I have seen enough businesses, I have enough experience in the business world to know that the person who's making more money than you in business right now, it's usually because they are better at certain things, such as selling. That's definitely number 1. Number 2, they may have a better market than you. In other words, they have chosen the right vehicle. We talked about this in the Work on Your Game Commandments series, that you have to choose the right vehicle. All right, just because you're hardworking and have goals and dreams and ambitions, if you choose the wrong vehicle through which to achieve them, you won't achieve your right outcome. So if you choose the right industry, the right vehicle for you based on your skills and what you're capable of, that can help somebody make more money than you are making. They have the right product or service. Usually it's pretty much a combination of those 3 things, and sometimes it's great timing depending on what you're selling and know who you're selling it to. So it's selling, industry, i.e. vehicle, and your product or service. You have the right product or service, you choose the right vehicle, and you're good at selling, you can get yourself to a good level. Those of you who are not at the level that you're at right now, you're probably missing one of these 3. To be honest, it's not discipline that is your issue. Issue is you need to get better at these 3 things. Selling, choose the right vehicle, choose the right industry, have a good product or service. Now let's move on to point number 3, and we'll talk about those in a different episode of this show. Point number 3, today's topic, once again, the top 5 problems that will show up or that you will be aware of. These problems actually always existed, but now they're going to become more acute. That you become aware of after your business is making money. Number 3, secret weapon here that you are missing is that you need to plug into a system. SYSTEM, system. What does that mean? What does it mean to plug into a system? I talked about systems in many episodes of the show. Episode 1838, I talked about how to build your business ecosystem. Episode 1569, systems and processes work, so why are you not using them? I've talked about systems a couple times here on the show. How do you actually plug into a system? Well, first of all, let's see if we can get a definition of a system, if they give us a useful definition. Sometimes they give us a good one, sometimes they don't. This is a good definition. Definition of a system is a set of things working together as parts of a mechanism or an interconnecting network. Second definition is a set of principles or procedures according to which something is done, an organized framework or method. I actually like those definitions. You need to plug into one of those. All right, that's what you need to do in your business. Again, doing everything through hard work, effort, talent, timing, luck, good market, your ability to sell. That's not sustainable. The problem is eventually you're going to run out of time, you're going to run out of talent, you're going to run out of energy. So how do you actually plug into a system? Because I think most people like the idea of plugging into a system, because what a system does, the idea of a system is that when you have a system in place is that it produces similar results consistently. The same things, the same way, every time. Now, have you ever heard anybody say anything like that before? If you listen to this show, then I know you have. I talked about that in episode 2013. Same things, the same way, every time. So how do you actually do this? Because I think a lot of us would like to have a system in place that produces similar results consistently. We know exactly what we're going to get. It's a good question. Answer is that you plug into a system that is designed to actually help you do these things, the things that we're talking about already here today. So as a professional athlete, for example, I had to create a system for working on my game as a basketball player so that I could even become good enough to get a chance to play as a professional athlete. I had to develop a system for getting better because nobody taught me how to play basketball. I basically taught myself. My parents were not athletes, are not athletes. I don't have any siblings who played sports. I have one sibling and she is not an athlete. I didn't have anybody in my neighborhood or anything like that who took me under their wing and taught me how to play. I was not going on YouTube or my phone, or we didn't have smartphones, nor did YouTube exist. When I was coming up trying to become a basketball player, I had to teach myself how to play basketball. And once I started to get better and I started to stumble upon some things that worked, I, in my mind, realized, you know what, I need to create a system for working on my game so I could do this stuff consistently, so I could keep working on my game in a consistent way, so I can keep getting better over and over and over again. And I know that I'm going to keep getting better. And I just had that idea in my mind. This is just the way that my mind works. I'm always looking for a system. I'm always looking to, reshape the box. And I talked about this in one of my trainings in Work on Your Game University. The box is basically everything in your life that you can control. And the box changes sizes depending on your situation, depending on your circumstances. So I was always looking with that box that I had, how can I create a system of something that I can do over and over and over again? So why discipline is the first principle I always talk about when I open the show is because that's just the way that my brain works. The first thing I'm always looking for is how can I systematize what I'm doing? Anytime I do something that's good, that works, how can I do this over and over again? How can I do this every single day? How can I get this result again and again and again? It doesn't always happen depending on what the situation is, but if I have control over it, then it absolutely does happen because I create the system. So as an athlete, I had to create that system to give myself the chance. Then I had to create a system. After I got good enough to give myself a chance, I had to create a system to sell myself so that people would know that I existed. That was the next system that I needed to create. Everybody following me here? Then, once I was able to do that, then I created a system to brand and market myself on the internet. Now, the internet existed by this point, which led to opportunities outside of my professional playing career that got me known on the internet. That is kind of what led to what you all are listening to right now. Because the way that many people came to know me on the internet was not through the fact that I was playing professional basketball, because I was playing in Europe. And most people in America have never even seen a basketball game in Europe, let alone you turn on the TV and watching it, because most of the games are not even on TV. Well, how most people came to know me was because I was on this website called YouTube, posting basketball videos in an empty gym by myself. That's how many people came to know me. And I was doing videos where I was talking to the camera, similar to what I'm doing right now. That's how people came to know me, but there was a system to that. All right, there's a reason why I was able to put out a video every single day for 10 years straight as a basketball player, and the reason that I can put out this show every single day for going on 7 years straight, and this show is going over 5 million listens, is because I have a system for continually creating material. Everybody following what I'm saying here? Then I took all the stuff that I learned as an athlete, going back in the story, I started applying it to the business world, and I realized that business professionals like yourself need systems just as much as athletes do. Actually, you need them more than athletes do. As an athlete, if you have enough talent, you are separating yourself from 99% of your competition just by having talent. In the business world, that doesn't work. In the business world, you're in competition with everybody, no matter how talented you are. In the sports world, you basically, there's a caste system in the sports world. If you have a certain level of talent, 97% of people who play that same sport are not your competition because they simply can't do what you can do no matter how hard they work. All right, so there's one of those inaccurate formulas, hard work beats talent. No, it does not. When the talent gap is big enough, hard work does not beat talent. If anybody ever told you that, they lied. Or they just don't know what they're talking about. Most likely the latter. Anyway, that's a side note. I realized that the main difference between athletes and business professionals is that when we as athletes, step outside of the system and we're not following our system the right way, we have a regulating mechanism called the scoreboard. And the scoreboard tells us exactly what the problem is. Hey, you're not getting the outcomes you were getting before. The scoreboard is letting you know you need to do something different. In the business world, however, our scoreboards are not as clear. Now, yes, of course, there's money in the business world, but not everybody's main driving factor is money. So in the business world, the scoreboards are not the same, and not everyone is playing by the same scoreboard, right? So just because your business is making more than the business next to you doesn't mean that your system is better than their system. It depends on what game each business is playing, and often you don't know what game the other business is playing. So money can be one indicator, but business has many indicators of what's working and what's not. In sports, generally, we got one indicator, the scoreboard. So it's much easier to discern when you're off track in the sports world than it is to discern when you're off track in the business world. Because those of you who are business professionals right now, especially you business owners or people who run your operations, how many different metrics are you looking at to see the health of your business? You're not just looking at, we're making money, so that must mean everything's great. Because if we went off that, then there's a lot of businesses that would be saying a lot different than what they're saying right now. All right, how many of you ever run a business, or maybe you're running a business right now, that at some point you were making money, but you were looking at all the other metrics and said, okay, we're not in a good spot right now, even though we're making money. Whereas a person on the outside looking in thinks everything's great because you're making money. That is not the only indicator in the business world. That's why the systems matter. Everybody still with me? Good. Moving on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is the top 5 problems that you will run into, or that you're going to become aware of, because these problems are not new, after your business starts making money. Number 4 problem is that you don't have a long-term plan in place. You got to this point, you're making this money, but there's no long-term plan. Again, hard work, talent, effort, timing, product, right industry can get you to making money. But if there's no long-term plan, you're going to look around and say, all right, how am I ever going to get out of this? How am I ever going to retire? My kids are going to get older. How am I ever going to get some time back for myself? So usually it's after businesses start making money, they start thinking about these things. All right, that's why this episode is this episode. So you need a long-term plan that you can actually stick to. Every person on the planet wants to have a long-term plan they can stick to. I mean, if you ask them, they want to have a long-term plan they can stick to. However, without a system in place, there's no way of either attracting, building, or creating that long-term plan if you don't have a system in place. Because what are you building your plan around? There's no system. That's why I introduced the concept of the system in point number 3 before I told you about this one in point number 4. You need the system first so that you can make a plan. When you have a system, the system is actually going to provide the long-term plan for you. You see how that works? And in that long-term plan, you will be able to see exactly where you and your business are going. You can remove the stress and anxiety of you having to do everything tactically and based on your own hard work and talent, because you can see how the system will start to replace you in some aspects, maybe not all aspects, but some aspects. And you can start to see light at the end of the tunnel. That tunnel that you're sprinting through right now, or it's kind of like a treadmill, but you can see light at the end of the treadmill. Does that sound like I'm speaking your language? Now, if I'm speaking your language right now, then this episode is targeted specifically for you. Now, some of you, again, you may not be at this level yet, but you'll come back to this episode and realize that I was predicting your future. If it sounds like I'm speaking to you, then you're the exact person that I made this episode for. But if not, keep running your business, and one day you will be the person that I made this for, because I know what I'm talking about. Point number 5. Today's topic, once again, is the top 5 problems that your business is going to run into after you start making money. And I'm kind of telling you what you're going to need to do, at least conceptually, to deal with them. The 5th thing you're going to need to do, business professional whose business is making money, you need to buy some time back. You need to get some of your time back. The biggest challenge for a business person who is not yet making the money that you want to make, usually your biggest challenge is you don't have enough customers, you're not making enough money, you're not making enough sales. Once you start making money and sales and you have customers, etc., in my experience, the biggest challenge people have at that point is you don't have any time. You don't have any attention or focus or energy to give to anything else, because you're giving all of those resources, time, attention, energy, and focus to what? Making money and maintaining the money. So here's what you need to do with that money that you're making. You need to buy some time back by investing in help from someone who can help you do these other 4 points. Does that make sense, what I just said there? Everybody, did I lose anybody with what I just said? Let me say it again in a different way, slightly different way. Make sure everybody caught me. Once you get to the point your business is making money, you realize that you are trading your time, attention, energy, and focus for the generation and the sustainability of that money, which is great because you're making money. I mean, it's probably one of the reasons why you got into business, so you can make money. So you're making money, great, check. The issue is now you have no time, no energy, no focus, and no attention to give to anything else in life. You're giving everything to continually making that money. So how do you fix the situation? Here's how you fix it. You buy some of your time back by taking some of that money and investing in getting help, insight, coaching from someone who can help you do everything I told you in points 1, 2, 3, and 4. See, I'll tell you about the 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. Time is the most valuable of all 5. Time is about 60% of them. The other 4 are 10% each. The reason we call these investments is because you use each one to buy more of the things that you want. That's why it's an investment. It's not a cost, it's an investment. Cost, you put it out, you get nothing back. An investment, you put something in and you get more back than what you put in, at least theoretically. Knowing that your time is the most valuable resource you have, this is why we get money. This is why we make money. All of you, if you really think about it, this is the reason why we make money. The reason you make money is to buy yourself time. Think about what you do with your money. Everybody think about what you do with your money. When you buy food, what are you buying? Yeah, you're buying the food that you're going to eat, but what you're actually buying is time, because if you didn't buy that food, you still had to eat, right? You would have to go maybe build a farm and grow your own food and pull it out of the ground and clean it and cut it up and cook it and prepare it and serve it. So buying food saves you the time of having to do that on your own. That's why you buy time. That's what buying time is. When you hire an Uber, and you are hiring an Uber, like a temp gig worker, and the Uber takes you across town, what are you buying? Yes, you're buying the ride, but what you're really buying is the time, because technically you could get across town by walking. I mean, if you had to, you could ride your bike if you had to, but instead you pay the Uber, and the $15 Uber ride buys you the time that it buys back the time that you saved through not having to walk across town, which would have took you 2 hours. Instead it takes you 15 minutes. So you're buying time. When you hire a coach, what you're buying, yes, the coach is going to give you information, insights, help, answer questions, etc., motivation, discipline, foot in the ass, accountability, whatever it is you ostensibly say you're going to the coach for. But what the coach is actually doing is helping you get your time back, because what you're going to get through the coaching is you're going to achieve outcomes and get things done sooner than you ever would have got them done had you not had a coach and you had to do them by yourself. So what the coach is actually doing is selling time to you. So you pay the coach X, whatever you pay for your coach, and in exchange, you're going to get things done in 6 months that would have took you 6 years. So if you look at the equation in that way, then what you're paying for in coaching is an investment, because you put in X, but you get back 10X. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? So when you're making money, you need to start using it to buy yourself time. So when you join a coaching program, that's what you're investing in. You get back the time that you've been spending putting out fires, playing whack-a-mole with your business, and you invest in strategy and long-term disciplines that will allow you to reach your big picture goals sooner rather than later. And eventually, you get back the time that now you can give to your life rather than spending all your time at your work life. Because now you can work on your business instead of in your business. And that's what coaching allows you to do. It buys back the time so that you can be more strategic, be more disciplined. You're plugging into a system, implement and stick to a long-term plan, which you are held accountable to, and now you have time to do what you want to do with your life, because that's what life is made up of. Life is made up of time, and the most important thing you do with your time in life is not run your business, it is not make money, it is invest in your relationships. That's the most important thing in life. All right. When somebody's at their bedside, when somebody's in a bed in hospice care dying, nobody says, man, I wish I had made a little bit more money. What they say is, where are the people that I knew through my life? Or how many of them are by this bed with me in my last hours and my last days? It's the relationships that matter the most. And you can't build a relationship without time. Everybody follow what I'm saying here? I talked about this in, let me tell you what episode that was. I know I did an episode on this subject. Episode 1439. The key to building relationships is time. So relationships, I'm talking about your significant others, your family members, your kids, the people who you know, love, and trust. It's built through putting time into those relationships. But if you're putting all your time into chasing dollars and making money and maintaining your dollars, well, you don't have time for your relationships. And those relationships go, when you die, you're not going to say, damn, I'm glad I spent so much time building my business and now I don't have any more friends. That's why you invest money to buy back your time. Everybody following what I'm saying here? Good. Let's recap today's class, which is the top 5 problems after your business is making money. And those of you who are, again, is not in a position yet where your business is making money, some of this may be going over your head and may not be completely relevant to you yet. But those of you who are in this position, you know I'm talking to you. And I know that I'm talking to you because, like I said, I've talked to enough people who are in your position to know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm going to tell all of you what you should do next as soon as I recap these points. So number 1, you got to where you are via tactics, and now it's time to get strategic. You can't just keep going off your hard work and effort. We need to get to another level of the game, which is having a strategy. Number 2, break old habits and get disciplined. Your old habits were to do everything off your hard work and talent and the timing and the great vehicle that you chose to get in and your great product or service, which is excellent. Keep all those things in place. But now we got to get disciplined here and start to put some pieces in place that will allow you to move to another level of the game, like I just talked about with the strategy. You got to get some discipline in place. Everybody in the outside world thinks you're the super disciplined person, but you and I both know the truth. And number 3, the secret weapon is you got to plug into a system. Good question about this. The answer, how do you do it? Good question. Answer is you plug into a system that is designed to actually help you do the things we've already talked about. So as a pro athlete, I had to create a system to get better at my game, then a system to get seen, then a system I use to build my brand, then a system to translate what I learned in sports into the business world, then a system to put out content consistently to the point that you even know who I am and you're listening to this episode right here. All of it was based on systems, and systems will tell you exactly whether things are working for you or they're not. In the sports world, there's one systematic indicator, we call it the scoreboard. In the business world, there are several metrics that we use to measure, and you can't always tell just because you're making money that your system is not working or that you don't even have one. And point number 4, stick to a long-term plan. Every person on the planet would like to have a long-term plan if you ask them about it, but if you don't have a system, there's no way of creating a long-term plan because you have no system through which to design the plan. All right, that's what a system does for you. That's why the system comes before the plan. And when you have a long-term plan, you can remove and relieve yourself of the stress and anxiety of doing everything tactically and just based on hard work and talent. And number 4, you buy time and you invest in coaching. You invest in insights from someone who can see things that you can't see. 5 forms of investment: time, money, attention, energy, and focus. Time is number 1. You use your money that you are making now to buy back time, because the most important thing in life is your time and your relationships, and you cannot build a relationship without putting time into it. If you're giving all your time to getting money, then how can you build relationships? Well, it's a trick question. You can't. That's why you use your money to buy back that time so you can put it into the things that matter most, which is not making as much money as possible, even though you want to make money. It is to build your relationships eventually, because you don't want to be on your deathbed looking around and all you got is no money. All right, that's not going to make you happy. You're not going to be happy dying with a bunch of money, because you can't do anything with it anyway. You can't take it with you, as they say. It's the relationships that will matter the most. So with all that said, if I'm talking your language right now, this sounds like you who I just described in today's masterclass, I want you to go to workonyourgame.net. Workonyourgame.net. I have a free training there. That free training is the 5 things that every high-level 7-figure business is doing that the 6-figure businesses are not doing. Even if you feel like you are doing everything you can right now, go watch that training. The training is free. After that training is done, or near the end of that training, I'm going to give you an opportunity to schedule a call with me where we can talk about how these things that I just talked about here today can be applied and plugged into your specific situation and your specific business. And none of this is going to cost you anything. Just go to workonyourgame.net. And for everybody who's listening to this, text me so you're getting my daily motivation message. My number is 305-384-6894. Work on your game. Dre, all